Hey, Facebook families, Pastor G. I'm here with Charles Richardson, and he's the Uncommon Realtor. Man, we're going to do a little interview because he and I have been discussing some things and getting ready for some stuff coming your way. That's going to be great, but I want to introduce him to you and let you know who he is and what he does. I formulated a few questions that I have for Charles. But sometimes they call you Tony. What's up with that?
Well, I know it's funny. I can always tell if someone calls me on the telephone, if they say Tony, I know it's from someone from back home or someone I grew up with. My middle name is Anthony, so Charles Anthony, so that's where Tony comes from.
Oh, okay. That's
Right.
pretty cool.
Yes.
So, Charles, what I'll start calling you Tony because we know each other.
Okay, that's fine.
Why did you get into real estate?
You know, I recognize that two of the richest industries in the world were one, financial services, and two, real estate. And I knew that if I stood a chance of being successful financially, what have you, it had to be in one of those industries. So I chose real estate.
Wow.
And it has always been my passion. It's one of the most natural things that's ever come to me because I love beautiful homes.
Yeah.
So it gives me an opportunity to look at beautiful homes all day and at the same time help my clients get into or out of their beautiful home.
Yeah.
So that's why I love it.
It's pretty amazing because I see you with some $1 million homes. I mean, they're gorgeous, you know. And
Thank
it seems like every week there's something new that you're doing or somewhere else you're selling. And it just is pretty moving and exciting to see someone with such success.
Thank you.
You know, so I got another question for you, several questions.
Okay.
Be ready.
Sure, I'm ready. Whatever you have.
Who was your biggest influence, or did you have a mentor?
Even to this day, this person is my mentor. His name is Chris Protagas.
Okay.
And Chris Protagas was someone that, he was an answer to a prayer that came true. And one of my prayers was that if God had brought me someone into my life who could teach me, train me, coach me on how to be successful, I just believed that I could do something with my life. And I met this person, and to this day, he has even changed my life. So I can remember as a mentor, he used to share with me to go and look at the homes, the beautiful homes that, you know, I would want to see. And periodically, I would drive by neighborhoods.
Okay.
And he would tell me, walk up to that house as if you have a pocket full of money and you can afford that house because your mind does not know what's real and what isn't. So I would, twice a week, I would go to this particular neighborhood and I would drive this neighborhood and I would find the most beautiful home and I would make believe that that was my house.
All right.
And he shared that with me and he just told me, if that's the home that you like, place it throughout your home. Place it where you see it all the time. And I did that because I knew that that was a lifestyle that I wanted to live. Mm-hmm. And Chris has really, really helped change my life.
Right.
Mentally, emotionally, financially.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife and I are doing that.
It works. It's a law.
It's a law.
It's a law. And, you know, if it's a law, it has to work.
Yeah.
So I encourage you, if that's what you're doing, continue to do it and do more of it.
Man, yeah, because we've noticed it. We've done it with several different things, and then now, you know, in discussions,
Yes.
and listening to different things, it's becoming more prevalent, more of a part of our life,
Okay.
our lifestyle.
Yes.
Now than it ever was before, but you know now it's both of us on the same page,
Yes.
doing the same thing, speaking the same tones.
That is so powerful that the two of you, that's equally yoked right there.
Yes.
Because you're on the same page. Because if your vision is to have something, her vision to have something totally different, now you're unequally yoked.
Right.
So when you record the vision, prescribe it on tablets so the person who reads it and run,
Yes.
right? That's in the book of Habakkuk, right?
Habakkuk. Yeah.
Habakkuk 2. So this person really helped mold and change my life. I can remember growing up in the city of Detroit,
Hometown guy.
Yes, your hometown also, right?
From Lansing, Michigan, but I spent many years in Detroit.
So growing up there, I can remember him telling me, go and look at the beautiful cars and so forth. But my mind wasn't there. So this is kind of a crazy story. What I would do is I would go to the Mercedes dealership and I would look at the cars, and when the salesman would come over and ask, young man, can I help you? I would always leave. Say, oh, I'm just looking, and I would leave. And then I found myself staying and looking at the cars, or the automobiles is what they are. I was looking from the passenger side. I would be looking through the window. And then one day I got the courage to open the door, and I got inside the vehicle. But I was sitting on the passenger side.
Okay.
Isn't that crazy?
Right.
So one day a salesman said this to me, young man, that's a beautiful automobile, but I've never seen anybody drive it from the passenger seat. Why don't you get in on the driver's seat? I did not see myself capable of owning such an automobile. So eventually I got in on the driver's side, but I had 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Okay.
Isn't it amazing how the mind,
So you were limiting.
I was limiting myself. And then one day, where the car was situated, it was next to a door, a wall, and the salesman wanted to come in. He needed to walk past me. So I had to close the door. He said, young man, pull your leg in. I pulled my leg in, and I closed the door. And from that moment on, it was like a totally different experience, because I now visualize myself in an automobile like that. But your question was, how has a mentor helped me? He shared those kind of things with me, and as a result, it's become life-changing.
Wow.
Yes.
So now you're utilizing that in what you do in your daily walk, your daily grind, I call it, but your daily joy in helping others.
Yes.
Is that you're using that there?
I use it, and in fact, when I'm working with the family, helping them get into the home, I usually take a picture of them in front of the house. Because if they say this is the home they want, okay, great, you're going to record the vision, you're going to place it where everybody sees it, and from this point on, we're going to do everything it takes to get you in a position to purchase or to sell that home. So it works.
It does. I believe.
Yes.
So next question I have for you is how have you, real estate's a volatile market at
Yes.
times.
I agree.
How have you weathered the ups and downs of the real estate industry?
That's a very good question. When I got into real estate, one of the things that I did, I was a real estate investor first.
Okay.
So I prepared myself to buy assets. So I was buying a lot of real estate as rental properties.
Okay.
And I was holding on to them, and I was allowing my financial portfolio to increase. So when the market started tanking, so to speak, what kept me afloat was the fact that I had assets. So it took literally 3 years before my family and I felt the market that we experienced back in 2008. I mean, they didn't even know that we were in that market, right? Thank God for the past, right?
Yes.
So one of the things that kept me going was the fact that I had assets. And those assets fed me when my real estate business, so to speak, had started to slow down.
Okay.
So if I can encourage anybody, I've gone to practically every seminar there is out there on, how to buy properties with no money down, how to walk away from the table with money and so forth. I've done all that, and that stuff doesn't work if you don't do it.
Correct.
But if you do it, it works. And that's what I've done throughout the years. And most of my clients to this day are investors. But most of them were not investors until I started working with them and showing them how to buy assets versus buying liabilities and so forth.
Wow.
So that's how I weathered it and continue. In this industry, I discovered that I had to continue to reinvent myself.
Yes.
And because real estate is such a moving target, you have to move with it. It's like riding a bicycle. If you don't move, if you don't pedal, eventually you'll fall down.
Just like stock market.
Yeah, that's a different animal, yes.
It's a different animal, but there are always ups and downs.
Correct.
The fluctuation of it all, and just knowing how to change your pace with what's going on in the industry. Correct.
That's true. The difference is, I discovered with the stock market, I cannot control that,
Correct.
but I can control what it is that I do to one of my investment properties. Right?
Yes.
I could control how I'm going to add additional value to my property by way of painting, turning a carport into a garage. That raises the value. Just little stuff like that.
Oh, that's amazing. So tell me something. You call yourself the uncommon realtor.
Yes.
Why is that?
I believe that I have an uncommon favor from God when it comes to doing what it is that I do, because most agents who become real estate agents, they go to school, they get their license, and they learn how to list and sell. Well, I have a background in financial services. So
Okay.
because I have a background in financial services, and because I'm also an investor, when that buyer or when that seller has that glitch and they don't know how to get out of it or how to get the finance, how to sell the home, I'm uncommon from the standpoint of I know how to put together the transaction. So if you have an issue with getting finance, no big deal. We'll bring in private investors. We'll bring in someone else who'll buy the home and then turn around and allow you to buy it from them.
Got it.
Whereas most agents will say, well, if you can't get finance, well, come back when you can. No, I've helped many families who could not get finance in terms of purchasing a home be able to buy that home.
Man,
I've
that's
helped,
a blessing.
and that's why I said uncommon.
Yes.
And I think one of the things also, when it comes to my clients, I listen to them. I don't not only listen to what they say, but I feel what they mean.
Right.
So I kind of see that with my skill set and that all being working together, that makes me a little uncommon than the average realtor.
That's
Years
God
ago,
working through you.
yes, exactly. Ironically, years ago, when I was working with a buyer, the average homes that I would show them was about 20. I'll show you 10 houses today, and tomorrow I'll show you another 10 houses. Now,
It's a lot of running.
average homes that I show is 3, and they buy 1. And that
Pretty good ratio.
that's a great ratio, right? And that really that has a lot to do with technology, but at the same
Yes.
time, that goes along with not only hearing what they say, but feeling what they mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So tell us, since you're past showing 20 homes, what was the craziest thing that happened in the real estate thing for you?
Oh man.
I know you had to have. You got a story. He's got a story, guys.
When I first got into real estate investing, I worked in his library, and there was this newspaper called the Detroit Legal News.
Okay.
And every day I would read this article, and there's a specific section that talked about foreclosures.
Mm-hmm.
And they were called sheriff sales in the city of Detroit.
Yes.
And I told myself, one of these days, I'm going to buy one of these houses because they look like great deals. So I did. It took me 10 years. It took me 10 years before I bought my first investment. And I got to tell you, I have kicked myself ever since. But I bought this house at a sheriff's sale at the county courthouse stairs.
Yes.
Right? I paid $3,000 for the house. I put about $1,500 worth of work into it, and I sold this home for $26,500, and I carried the mortgage.
Oh my goodness.
Right? So the person gave me $4,500, and not only did I put $3,000 in and $1,500, I got all my money back.
Right.
And I thought I had died and gone to heaven, right? I'm like, this stuff actually works, right? So then I said, I'm going to do this again. And I did it again, and I bought this house for $900.
Wow.
Now, here's the crazy part. At that point, I was like, okay, I'm ready to start doing commercials, infomercials, talk radio. I'm like, I found my niche, right?
Oh, yeah.
So this is the thing. In the city of Detroit, on a sheriff's sale, you could not take possession of the home for 6 months. So every month, I would drive by and I would see a car in front of this in the driveway, and I was counting down the months. I'm saying, okay, 3 more months, 2 more months, this house is going to be mine. So here's the crazy thing. I went and I knocked on the door with my letter in my hand saying, Charles Richardson, I bought this house. You know, you have X amount of time to go ahead and vacate the property with you and your family. I'll give them like 30 days, right? Mm-hmm. But if the property was deemed vacant, you could take possession right away. Okay. Well, I didn't know that. Well, I knew that, but I didn't recognize that this property was vacant. The car that was in the driveway was the neighbor's car.
Oh my goodness.
So I knock on the door and I'm looking around like, man, this house looks vacant. So I go around to the back and I'm looking and I'm knocking on the door falls flat on the floor. Oh. And I noticed, I said, wait a minute, this house is vacant. I could have taken possession 6 months prior.
That's
now
pretty crazy.
This was in October, and the sun was starting to go down. This is right around 5:30 in the afternoon. Mm-hmm. So I decided to go into the basement to look around and see what was going on and so forth. You know, there's furniture and so forth. I was like, okay, so what can I salvage? And I thought to myself, man, I could have taken possession of this property 6 months ago. But if this house is vacant, who is this dude? My worst nightmare, there was a squatter. And I'm looking at him, and he's looking at me, and it was like a twilight zone because, you know, the lights was, you know, the sun was starting to go down.
Right.
And I can see this guy, and I said to him, I says, sir, you've probably been living in this house for a while. I just purchased it, so you might want to get yourself and go ahead and leave. And this guy just stared at me. And I thought, okay, well, maybe he didn't hear me. So I said, sir, you probably have been living here for a little while. I just purchased this home. You know, you might as well get your stuff and just go ahead and leave. And he just stared at me. This dude was ugly, right? And I thought, okay, I got to get out of here, right? I'm like, I'm not a fighter, right? So I started looking around for the stairs, and they were gone, right? And I'm thinking to myself, I am not going to make it out of here alive. And I thought, it's going to be a fight. And if I'm going to go down, we're going to go down fighting. So I'm looking around, I'm like, okay, I got to find something, right?
Right.
So I'm looking to grab something, and he's looking to grab something, and I just said, forget it. And I ran, and I had my fist balled up, and I got ready to punch this dude. He's going to punch me. And it was the reflection of a mirror that I was looking at myself. Isn't that crazy? Right? So, you know, I was like, you know, I was nervous and I was laughing. I was like losing my mind, right?
Right.
And I finally crawled out of the basement, still thinking about that. And I walked upstairs, and I got all the way up to the top level, and I noticed, I said, there's a light on. And I thought, don't tell me there's another one, right? But let me tell you what the light was. The back of the house didn't have a roof. I was looking at the sky.
Oh my God.
So you're talking about making lemons out of lemonade or lemonade out of lemons. What I wound up doing was, I said, I don't have the money to fix this place up. What am I going to do? So I donated that house to a nonprofit organization and took a $26,000 tax deduction the next year. So that was the craziest thing that's ever happened since I've been in real
lemons
estate.
and made lemonade.
I took lemons and I made lemonade out of it. Yes.
Man,
yeah,
that's amazing. So there's one more question, but before I get to that last question, because we want to know more about you, Tony.
Okay.
We do, but the other thing is in talking to you and getting to know you this past few weeks, and we've discussed some things, and there's so much that's in you that needs to come out. You know, so we talked about doing the radio.
Okay.
And that's why we're here today doing Facebook Live, because we're going to let some of this knowledge be shared with you guys out there. before we go into who he really is and let him really expand on it, I had to bring that out because doing things out here that you need to really get to know. Um, so, what is some of the things that you'll be sharing with more people? Like you're teaching stuff to me every time we meet and talk, and I'm just scratching the surface
Okay.
layer.
Yeah.
So, in this uncommon realtor show, what can people look forward to? And then give me who you are.
I think people can look to hope and possibility and the opportunity to have what it is that you really want to have. I mean, we on this earth one time, and my thing is let it rip. Don't hold back. You know, whatever you're looking for is looking for you. If it's that beautiful home that you like, that home is looking for you. If you don't think you can get into that home, you can get into that home. Okay. If I'm part of the transaction, I say this to my clients. I'm going to negotiate this transaction as if I'm buying it myself. Are you okay with that? And if my client says yes, then I become like a bulldog in a suit, right? Really representing my client and just really, really fighting hard for them and just making sure that they get exactly what they want. I go to all of my closings, and that's uncommon. Most realtors, when they sell a house or they listers buy a house, what have you, they work with the buyer or the seller. When it's time to close, they just send them to the listing. I go to all of the listings and all of the closings on behalf of my buyers or my sellers. And I'm also present in all the inspections. And the reason why I'm present in all the inspections is because I want to make sure that everything and anything that's related to that property that is exposed. Because at the end of the day, after I hand that client that key, that property is still mine. They're just taking care of it. I'm still responsible to them because I am the one who helped them get into their home.
Right.
So if there's a question, concern, what have you, it's not uncommon for them to call their uncommon realtor to help them alleviate or fix the problem.
Wow.
So
now tell us about who you are. Who is Tony? Who is Charles Tony Richardson? Anthony.
family man. I love helping people. I love giving. I love teaching and coaching and training. I love teaching about possibilities.
Yes.
I love physical fitness.
Yes.
I've had the pleasure of working out ever since I was age 13. And I've also had the pleasure of training with masters in martial arts.
Yeah.
And it was a privilege because most people who I know who train in martial arts, they attend classes, which is great. But God has blessed me with to be in a position in which I was able to work with masters one-on-one. So my skill set just kind of went through the roof as a result of it. But
I've noticed.
I love it because of the discipline, and that discipline flows over into what I do in real estate in terms of helping and giving, and coaching and negotiating and everything for my clients.
What about hobbies? What do you do for hobbies?
I teach martial arts. I teach martial arts. I only teach one-on-one.
Yes.
Only because I don't have the time to go into a classroom setting and so forth. So periodically, I'll take on a client and teach them what it is that I've learned in the area of physical fitness and martial arts. And it's not so much about fighting, it's more the discipline.
Right.
Showing a person how to become disciplined and become in tune to them and to their bodies and so forth.
Wow.
So that's what I do.
This water runs real deep with this man. I've grown to have a very big heart for him and his passion for Christ. And that's why Christian Living Radio stepped up to partner. I call it a partnership,
Yes.
with you and the Uncommon Realtor to bring that to our station to help others, because everybody is going to need a realtor sometime in your life. You're going to need to sell a home one time in your life, or twice, maybe 3 times. And you need to deal with someone that has ethics, has morals,
Thank you.
puts God first. Then everything else falls into place. There's right order when you deal with an uncommon realtor. So that's why we've opened up our station to this partnership.
Thank you.
This new thing.
I'm glad to be here.
I'm happy to have you, man. This is exciting to me because it's all about educating. It's all about people receiving more knowledge than they've had in the past. So when they have someone that's got the knowledge, been there, down that pathway, there's success over on the horizon for them.
Yes, I believe that.
So,
Amen.
yeah.
Yes.
We're going to be bringing this to you. At least we're going to attempt to do this weekly. But there's so much we want to give you in quality, high quality. So it may start out bi-weekly and then move into a weekly show on here. But that's up to him because he's a busy man. So I got to go with his schedule. But look out for it on Christian Living Radio. We are now on, I was sharing with you earlier, we are growing leaps and bounds. The station is on 24 hours a day. We're also on iHeart, iTunes. We have our own Spotify channel now.
Okay.
We're on SoundCloud. We're on TuneIn. There's just tons of outlets that we are on now. And so our roots are like a tree root now.
Okay.
Where we're going. So, if you're not following us yet, start following Christian Living Radio. Download our app. We're in the Google Play Store, and we should be on iTunes now, in the iStore or whatever. So you can get the app, and you can get it right on there. So whenever his show is on, you'll see a notification. You can get it. And there's other shows that are on there with us. And you get a chance to meet the man behind the camera and start your relationship. Start things going on to increase your knowledge, to buy that first home or buy that new $1 million home. Get the kingpin in your backyard. That's what you need. Need him in your alley.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we just appreciate everyone for watching Christian Living Radio and being a part of our family. And we look forward to seeing you again next week. May God's best